Mangroves are tropical, salt-tolerant plants that can be found between the land and sea in the area between latitude 25 degrees north and south of the equator. Mangrove forests, sometimes called estuarine wetlands, are valued for their diverse ecosystem services. With massive root systems, mangrove forests serve as buffer zones in coastal areas. These ecosystems regulate the impact of strong storm surges to coastal communities by absorbing the energy of strong waves and wind. As forests, mangroves contribute to carbon storage in their below-ground parts. They capture and accumulate rich sediments in their roots and therefore contribute to coastal fertility. These same roots attract marine species that may be harvested, sold, or consumed by local inhabitants. Mangroves in the ASEAN region occupy an area of over 60,000 square kilometers. Presently, the region has the largest extent of mangroves in the world, with Indonesia accounting for almost 62% of the ASEAN territory's total. There are 70 mangrove species known globally, and mangrove biodiversity is highest in the Indo-Malay-Philippine archipelago. There are about 52 true mangrove species in Southeast Asia. Of these, 48 species are found in Indonesia and 42 species in Malaysia. Seagrasses are flowering plants that spend and complete their life cycles underwater. They are not really grasses in the true sense, but have come to be known as such because of their grass-like appearance, but some take on teardrop and hair-like forms too. To survive, seagrasses must have access to sunlight, sufficient immersion in seawater, and adequate rooting substrate to avoid being washed away by tides and currents. Seagrasses form the basis of a complex coastal ecosystem, supporting both threatened and economically important fishery species. Seagrass leaves are habitats of epiphytic algae and animals like sea squirts, which serve as the base of food sources for a hierarchy of larger animals such as fish, seabirds, crabs, lobsters, dugongs, and sea turtles. Seagrass foliage slow down water currents and trap sediments, thus improving nearshore water clarity. Seagrass ecosystems are one of the most productive coastal habitats in the region, with a vital role and contribution to coastal fisheries. Southeast Asia has 18 of the world's 60 seagrass species and a third of all seagrass areas on Earth. The Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam have the most diverse numbers of species, with 16, 15, and 14 kinds of seagrass respectively. Coral reefs are one of the most biologically diverse ecosystems on Earth and are found in shallow tropical waters. Coral reefs provide refuge to approximately 25% of all marine species. Comparable to tropical rainforests in having the highest biological diversity on Earth, coral reefs serve as the physical framework of critical habitats that support the nursery needs of fish and invertebrate larvae. Reefs protect coastlines from storm surges, support productive fishery industries, and provide the main source of protein and income for millions of coastal families in Southeast Asia. Coral reef-dependent species have scientific, pharmaceutical, and educational value, and are extremely valuable as tourist destinations. Coral reefs of Southeast Asia may cover some 70 to 85,000 square kilometers. In 2004, Mr. Bunemeyer estimated that the annual net economic benefit from the world's reefs to be at $30 billion. Results of studies published by Richard Unsworth and his colleagues in 2008 demonstrate that numbers and types of fishes in seagrass beds near mangroves and coral reefs were at least twice that found in seagrass beds that were far from these two ecosystems. Mangroves and coral reefs may improve living conditions for fish by providing shelter and added variety of food. When mangrove seagrasses and coral reefs occur close to each other, their food webs achieve a balanced assemblage of fish that eat aquatic plants, predators, and those that eat variable types of food. Fish and organic matter make the connection between these three ecosystems. It also helps if all these three ecosystems are protected. Southeast Asia, also known as the ASEAN region, has a wide expanse of mangroves. In fact, the world has 70 species of mangroves and 52 species are found in the region. Despite this richness, the region suffers the highest rates of mangrove losses in the world. We lose around 628 square kilometers of mangroves each year. Why are we losing our mangroves? Many mangrove areas are being converted to shrimp and fish ponds. This practice has been responsible for half of mangrove losses in the Philippines and up to 80% of Southeast Asia's. When these ponds eventually become polluted and unfit for fish or shrimp culture, they are abandoned and more ponds are created elsewhere. This cycle of clearing, use, abandonment, and more clearing will eventually rid the region of all its mangrove resources. The growing human population in coastal areas has introduced more threats to mangroves. They include rampant cutting for house construction materials and fuel wood, and highly exploitive activities that account for 26% of mangrove forest degradation. Despite these stress points, humans impose additional threats such as conversion of mangroves into large-scale development, for example, agricultural areas, salt ponds, roads and buildings, and diversion of fresh water for irrigation. Seagrasses naturally live in areas close to the shore near human settlements. They are exposed to threats from human activities such as warm water discharges from power facilities, sediments from mining, sewage from treatment plants and tanker terminal, extensive coastline destruction and modification, and bottom trawling. Scientific studies have revealed that increased nitrogen loading in coastal waters stimulates outbreaks of algae that could outcompete seagrasses for available light. This leads to reduced seagrass productivity. Such event is mostly observed in some areas in Sulu Sea. There, epiphytes are seen to cover entire leaves of seagrasses, indicating nutrient enrichment from organic domestic waste. Seagrasses in Vietnam are threatened by extensive shrimp farming. The use of push nets and trawling in shallow areas, sedimentation, floods and typhoons, reduced water quality from shrimp pond discharge, and eutrophication from rivers. Indonesia and the Philippines and Thailand have each experienced from 30 up to 50% losses of seagrass habitats. This is compounded by the fact that the seagrass losses in other Southeast Asian countries remain largely unknown. Southeast Asia has 1/3 of the world's coral reefs, but it has the highest rate of loss, estimated at 40%. Almost a third of the region's coral reefs have been permanently lost. With current trends, a further 30% is at risk of being lost in the next 30 years. According to results of the Reefs at Risk studies in Southeast Asia conducted in 2002 and 2008, about 88% of the region's coral reefs face medium to high overall threats. Overfishing and destructive fishing, including cyanide fishing, are the two major threats to coral reefs. Our coral reefs are also threatened by sedimentation, marine-based pollution, and coastal development. In money terms, damage from overfishing more than 21,000 square kilometers of coral reefs in the Philippines alone is estimated at $1.2 billion a year. The threats to coastal and marine ecosystems, if not arrested in their current state of decline, will lead to irreversible loss of the rich biodiversity in Southeast Asia, displacement of an estimated 600 million people who are depending directly on these coastal and marine resources for food and income, and loss in related industries such as fishing and tourism. The threat to our biodiversity is real. It is beyond losing our coastal and marine ecosystems and the marine life they sustain. It is a question of the negative impacts on humans if we continue to lose our mangroves, seagrasses, and coral reefs. Let us do our share. Let us work together to conserve our coastal and marine ecosystems. The threats to Southeast Asia's rich marine and coastal resources are real and have reached critical levels. As residents of the region, we cannot afford to take a back seat and are duty-bound to conserve and protect these vast resources for future generations. It is not too late to take action now. Watchfulness is key. Get acquainted with mangroves near your area and become familiar with policies related to their management. Note ongoing activities such as cutting of trees, dumping of garbage, and site preparation for new fish ponds, and report these to the proper authorities. Volunteer for mangrove replanting and cleanup activities. Support local communities that establish mangrove nurseries, construct walkways, and make a living from mangrove-related ecotourism. Coral reefs are rich life support systems for fish and other aquatic animals. When snorkeling or diving, do not step on or hit the corals with your fins. Support organizations that conserve coral reefs and actively participate in coastal cleanup drives. Most importantly, be attentive and report known illegal fishing, improper anchoring, and dumping of trash. Seagrasses are susceptible to the loss of light due to increased water pollution because they grow near populated shore areas. In your own way, learn to appreciate the coastal nursery value of seagrasses. Share this new appreciation with your friends and take care not to step on animals like shrimps and sea cucumbers that live there. As an ecotourist, dispose your garbage properly and do not contribute to pollution. As a consumer, do not buy immature fish. And as a resort owner, take care not to modify or disturb these habitats. Though seemingly simple, these actions may yield significant results if we stay committed in taking an active part in conserving our region's coastal and marine treasures.